Hello, bonjour, welcome. My name is Paul Keefe, business advisor here at the World Trade Centre Winnipeg. I would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that this webinar is coming to you from Treaty 1 territory, a traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Thank you for joining our webinar, What It Takes to Be an Entrepreneur, which will be presented by myself, along with a special guest appearance from Rachel Nedelec, founder of Flour and Flour Bakery. Before we begin, I want to share a few housekeeping items. Please send all of your webinar questions directly to the chat box at the top of your screen, and I will try to answer as many as I can during a Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. For all logistical questions, please send them directly to the chat box, and we'll answer your questions as soon as possible. And lastly, you'll also receive a PDF copy and recording of this presentation within the next week. So now it's time to start our webinar. If you're here, you might already be an entrepreneur looking for some additional insights for your business, or maybe there's a business idea keeping you up late at night and you're curious to know if entrepreneurship is for you or not. In either case, taking the time to learn more about this path will be very beneficial for you in the long run. And really just know that myself and the World Trade Centre Winnipeg team, we're here to support you on your venture. So for today's session, we're going to cover all things entrepreneurship, tools and resources for starting a business, tips for becoming a successful entrepreneur, leadership and management insights. Towards the end of the session, I'll share a few great resources to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. And before we sign off, I'll be interviewing Rachel Nedelec, founder of Flour and Flour, and you won't want to miss that. We should also have time for questions at the end of the webinar. And really, after this webinar, you'll feel confident in knowing whether the path of entrepreneurship is for you or not. And if it is, you'll have valuable insights on how to best move forward. And if not, all good. Entrepreneurship, it's not for everyone. And consciously choosing to not pursue this path, it doesn't somehow make you wrong or not ambitious enough. Hopefully, by having adequate self-awareness and understanding the potential risks, you can save yourself a lot of sweat, tears, and money. So let's dive in. So there are several advantages and disadvantages with entrepreneurship. Working from our laptops on a beach in Mexico with a daiquiri in hand is probably the image that's sold to us a lot. But it's far from reality. Sure, it can happen, or any dream we have for a business, but it's not always going to be smooth sailing. It's important to highlight both the good aspects as well as the bad, so you can have a better sense of the road ahead. So let's start with the disadvantages first. So long hours, of course. In the beginning stages of your business, you might find that you're going to be working much more than a typical 9 to 5. This is why setting work boundaries is so important, especially if you've got a family to care for and other obligations. You'll need to develop your priority management skills if you wish to have a long and fruitful career as an entrepreneur. Flexibility and freedom are often the main reasons that people are motivated to get into entrepreneurship. But just know that it's not like you'll be magically working less or working less hard. The hours, they'll just look different. Next, risk of investment. So you're going to be spending and pouring a lot of time, effort, and capital into your business to get it going. This is risky not only from a monetary standpoint, but also mentally, emotionally, and socially, like how it impacts your life with friends and family, for example. So entrepreneurship, it's extremely taxing on your well-being, as you'll be dealing with lots of competing demands, striving for high expectations you hold for yourself, as well as from the ones you believe others are holding you to. So this area in particular, mental health within the entrepreneurship community, it doesn't get enough attention. There is a stigma that business owners feel when it comes to talking about their mental health. So please take care of yourself. If you're starting a business, please seek support from friends, family, peers, counseling, or other mental health care professionals. It's best practice to really seek support before you think you need it. Don't wait until there's a crisis. Next up, we have inconsistent income or fluctuating income. So it's very important to understand that your income will vary throughout your business's life. You need to ensure you're paying yourself enough to live, as well as making sure there's enough going into the business to hold it up to its successful operations. For example, before getting into business, you might consider building up a reserve fund. Having anywhere from 3 to 6 months of savings to cover your bills and unforeseen events can help mitigate some of your financial risk and stress. This is all about having a solid financial foundation to build from. If something bad happens and requires extra cash, you won't be falling backwards and leaning on high interest credit cards or your line of credit. Criticism from others, and this is a big one. You're going to deal with a lot of criticism, whether it's from family, friends, colleagues, lenders, or customers. It's crucial that you learn how to deal with these criticisms in whichever way they present themselves. If it's just a quick judgment about how you'll fail or constructive feedback on your idea, you need to stay true to your internal compass. It's helpful to always make sure you have your customer in mind, and always be in service of them. If the criticism or feedback ultimately improves your product and makes your customer's life better, it's best practice to take it into consideration. Next, paperwork. Yes, there will be lots of documents and forms to fill out over your business's life, and the amount can depend on what you're doing, the business structure itself, and how much the business operations you're taking on yourself. So, for example, those that use TurboTax for their personal income, you probably want to consider investing in an accountant. And this is one of those expenses that you need to view as an investment. Among many benefits, a good accountant will help you leverage tax credits, lessen your chances of being audited, and much more. And you might also consider support from a bookkeeper too. Hard work, duh. You know that already. Hard work is a given. And this is why it's about working smart and building systems to streamline your business operations so you're not putting so much effort into tasks that could otherwise be automated, delegated, or eliminated. If you're a solopreneur and a service-based worker like a consultant, that might mean leveraging SaaS tools or software as a service to aid in processes like scheduling meetings, easily collecting payments, or you might even consider subcontracting some tasks. Next, this is a really big one, potential failure. Lots of people talk about failure, right? So most businesses fail in their first year of business, and as many as 50% will cease to be in operation to see their fifth birthday. So it's important to realize that the term failure, it can mean many things. Failure could be something terrible, such as illegal activity taking place within your business and it being shut down. It can mean bankruptcy, maybe some unexpected event that affected your industry or the world. Looking at you, COVID, caused business to slow down to a halt. Or maybe it was something you didn't fully understand, but now you've learned a new lesson, which you can take to your next venture. And for this instance, I like to keep this acronym in mind for the word fail. First attempt in learning. So no matter what, there are risks and possibility of failure in any venture. But hopefully after today's webinar, you'll feel more confident in knowing how to better mitigate these risks. So why get into entrepreneurship? What are a few of the advantages? Well, do what you love. Following your passion can be a great source of joy and a major boost to your well-being. While the saying goes, do what you love and you'll never work a day for the rest of your life, it sounds good. The truth of the matter is that it's still work, and it's hard work, and it's unrelenting work. But when you tap into that energy source of passion, it can feel like it's not really work in the traditional sense because you're so engaged and interested in what you're doing. Your energy isn't being robbed from a soul-sucking job. And this is the difference between really three perspectives of work: a job, a career, or a calling. So how you view your work has a direct impact on your well-being. A job is just something to pay the bills with little to no sense of purpose. A career is something that allows you to build skills while contributing to something bigger. But a calling, it's something you feel summoned to do, as if you're being pulled to do it because it's what you're meant to do. Entrepreneurs tend to lean towards their calling. Fulfill your dreams. So nothing feels as good as setting a goal and then following the necessary steps to achieve it. And this process, it can become addicting. And you're probably the type of person who has great ambition And this is why it's important to keep your head in the clouds and feet on the ground. Yes, entrepreneurship, it's about achieving big dreams, but it's mostly about executing and taking action in order to achieve these dreams. So doing this builds an immense sense of pride, humility, and dedication. When you reach what you set out for and can do so on your own terms, well, there's nothing quite as empowering as that. Be your own boss. So speaking of your own terms, I bet you're probably someone who doesn't do well with being told what to do day in, day out. Entrepreneurs get to lead on their own terms. And yes, it can be to a fault as they have, some stubborn tendencies, which can be both a positive and negative trait. But this sense of control, it's incredibly enticing for a business owner. Not control in the micromanagement sense, but control in being able to set a goal and a path forward based on their own interests, not those of someone else. Fill a void in the market. Sometimes you just sit there and wonder, why doesn't this thing or that exist? Or what about all these people over there? They're totally underserved. Well, with that sort of curiosity, you can be the person to help fill these gaps, which is beneficial for our communities, our economy, and this leads to making an impact. Well, if there is one thing that an entrepreneur wants to do, it's to make an impact. The most successful entrepreneurs tend to be the ones that focus on impact over income. And ironically, they tend to be the ones that start to bring in a good income. By focusing on having an impact, by solving problems and providing solutions and value, people will take notice. And when your intentions are in the right place and you work hard at making other people's lives easier by removing pains or adding gains, your presence, it will positively be felt. Earn a greater income. Okay, making an impact is the most important, but making a good income, it's also important, even though it feels like a taboo topic. In the last couple of years, we've witnessed inflation rates hit 6% and even up to 8%. People who lost their jobs or were already out of work suffered immensely. And for those who thankfully still had work through the pandemic, they still felt this impact at the grocery store, at the fuel pump, and well, practically everywhere. Putting some money in a savings account was no longer an option and it wasn't enough. So we began to see a spike in the number of small businesses and side hustles to help bring in enough to pay the bills. Well, even before the pandemic, this was still a benefit. Being able to bring in an extra couple $100s a month can be the difference between just scraping by to finally being able to pay off debt or invest consistently or buy that new home or new car you want. And if side hustles aren't enough and you want to go all in on your business, your ceiling and income potential is much higher than with a typical employer. So why do businesses fail? Well, there are many reasons a business can fail, but I'll list out a few of the most common ones here. So first off is no market demand for your product or service. You must make sure to do your market research and to create a sound business plan. Far too many people, they get into business just because they are passionate about something without a clear understanding of the market, their customers, the potential risks, and knowing the competitive landscape. Lack of management skills. Being an entrepreneur requires solid management skills, even if you're working on your own. Priority management, this is a huge one, especially for these individuals. But how your business operations and strategy and execution, all of these things, they're incredibly important. Are you a clear communicator and effective collaborator? Do you lead by coaching or by micromanaging? Do you manage expectations and strategize accordingly? Have you created policies and procedures for various aspects of your business so others can do the work efficiently and effectively? Do you focus on continued education and upskilling to stay competitive and maximize value for your customers? And can you effectively automate, delegate, and eliminate tasks so your team optimizes their productivity? No understanding of finances. So you don't need to have a degree in finance to practice the fundamentals of financial literacy in your business. Are you protecting yourself with an emergency or reserve fund? Do you fully know your income, budget, and cash flow for the months ahead? Are you able to manage your fixed and variable costs well? Is your debt locked in with a competitive interest rate? And do you have a strategy and action plan for paying it off? Poor planning and strategy. So not having a business plan leads to many businesses failing simply because they didn't take the time to highlight potential risks and then create contingency plans to address them. Another issue is failing to adapt their plan and strategy to the ever-changing business landscape, such as consumer behavior, new competitors to the market, advances in technology, etc. So next up, I want to share some advice for success. So to start, here's a simple formula to get you thinking about what it takes to achieve business success. Passion plus skill plus demand equals success, or potential success, as no success can be completely guaranteed. You'll need all three of these elements to increase your chance of success. Remove a single piece and the chances plummet exponentially. So passion. Another word I could bundle here is purpose. Do you inherently love what you're doing? Do you feel deeply compelled to make an impact? Maybe not as epic as making a dent in the universe, like Steve Jobs said, but to simply just make the lives of those around you better. Does it bring you energy, or does it suck the life force out of you? Entrepreneurship, it's a path of great opportunity, but one filled with endless obstacles as well. You need to tap into something that's going to allow you to stay resilient, and that force is your mindset and passion. Now, you can't just have passion alone. There's a lot of talk around this aspect of entrepreneurship, but it requires a couple other ingredients to make your business thrive. And that's skill. Are you actually good at what you do? Is there quality to the work you're putting out? You can't market your way out of a bad service or bad product. It may work fine in the short term, but the businesses that succeed in the long run are the ones that can get people talking about them. Word of mouth is powerful. When it comes to skill, that doesn't mean you must know how to do everything yourself. Rather, it's about knowing where your strengths lie and seek support from those with skills you lack but require for your business to succeed. Other skills and traits you need to possess are being action-oriented, being creative, possessing a tolerance for stress, and high determination. Next is demand. Is there a market need? Do people actually want what you're offering? How do you know? Is this market growing or shrinking? What's happening to the competition in the industry? Is there a gap you can fill? What pain are you alleviating? What gain are you providing? It's important to note that you can have a very high demand for your product or service, but if you don't possess the passion or right skill to execute, the chances of success go down drastically. And you'll notice the asterisk beside the word success, which I put here for a reason. Again, no success is guaranteed. It's just by focusing on these three levers, you greatly increase your chances for potential success. And that's all you can do. And also, it's important to note how we each define success might be different. One person may dream of operating a multi-million-dollar ARR business and to sell later for a big payday. Another might just want a side hustle that makes an impact, brings them joy, and can help pay some extra expenses or put towards savings and long-term investment. So before scrambling to reserve your business name and registering the business completely, you need to be certain that your business idea is desirable, feasible, and viable. So desirability, do people want what you have to offer, and can you effectively reach them? Feasibility, do you have the internal and external capabilities to actually execute on that? And viability, does it make sense financially? So desirability is really your offer, your value proposition. Feasibility is all about channels, partners, and your viability is about revenue model and pricing and cost structures. So have you completed any market research and an industry analysis? You must do your research. And I can't stress how important this is to research your market viability of your business, knowing your ideal customer, the overall trend of the industry, potential competitors, and all of this, it will lead to a greater chance of success. And I'll share some tips in the coming slides on this. Next, knowing what your financial projections are. So you need a clear understanding of your expenses and cash flow. Know your break-even point. This is especially important when it comes to getting access to capital from a lender. You might not require funding right off the bat, but you might later. So incorporate this in your research early on. Did you create a business plan? Again, a business plan, this will help you form a clear understanding of your business's viability, feasibility, and desirability. Greatly increases your chances of securing funding from a lender and helps you make better decisions based on a sound strategy. So a business plan, it's a living document, it's ever evolving, and it's here to support your business in many key areas. It helps new businesses and startups, as well as businesses that are already in existence. It can be overwhelming on where to start. And for this, I usually will recommend entrepreneurs begin with what's called a business model canvas or a lean canvas. So, building on some advice for success, start with why. Simon Sinek popularized this philosophy of starting with why. He wrote a book on it and has an awesome TED Talk on YouTube that you should definitely check out. The idea here is that by starting with why, your deeper sense of purpose, you are more likely to succeed. And the reason being is that you'll have meaning in what you do, and every action, it'll be in light of and in honor of the bigger mission that you're going after. You'll be much more likely to stick with the journey when things go bad. Serial entrepreneur and investor Peter Diamandis framed this concept in a different way: your massively transformative purpose, or your MTP. And you'll know you're pursuing the right path if you're inherently excited to do what it is you need to do. It's the thing that you can't stop thinking about. What problems need solving that you're excited to create unique and meaningful solutions for? And you can also apply this start with why thinking for your own product and service. People don't necessarily just buy what you offer, but they buy the why behind it. People buy the stories behind products and services and the hopeful future and the better version of themselves. They don't just buy features. And a great example of this is Apple did this ingeniously years ago when they were marketing their iPod. They didn't list all the technical features and storage capacity of the iPod. They just simply said 1,000 songs in your pocket, effectively making you look like a dinosaur with your CD player. And Volkswagen ads are good at this as well. Rather than telling you exactly how much legroom their vehicle has, an ad showed a busy mom getting out of the driver's seat, opening the rear door, sliding her kid back all the way, rendering her back of the seat kicking useless. Busy parents, they relate to this situation more than a rational objective feature like 37 inches of legroom. Next, define your version of success. Too many people get their definitions of success confused with others. Living in a digital age with social media, you have access to so many different worldviews that it's hard to know your own true calling and interests. If you aren't careful in defining success in your own terms, you're going to be constantly comparing yourself to others, and that's a losing battle. Do you want a side hustle, or are you looking to become a six-figure solopreneur? Or do you want a global enterprise with over 500 employees? Is it going to be a product or service business? Do you want a tech-based business like an app or an e-commerce store or a storefront at your local mall? Are you looking to solve a massive problem like solving sustainable agriculture, leveraging your knowledge of technology? Or are you a local hairstylist in rural Manitoba that noticed there isn't a good salon within your community? Figure out how you want your business to look. Next, adopt a 1% better mindset. Starting a business, it's hard work, and keeping this business going, it's even harder. Start small and focus on continuous improvement rather than perfection. Break your business steps down into manageable goals. For example, what do you want to achieve this month in your business? Then what do you need to achieve this week that will move you closer to that goal? And finally, what's one thing you can do today to get you moving forward? And hey, maybe that's calling the World Trade Centre Winnipeg for help. Ask yourself who, not how. So this is an awesome philosophy I learned from the great business coach, Dan Sullivan. It's all about building the right team of people around you to support your journey. One thing business owners are great at is trying to do everything in their business. And hey, you're resourceful by nature, I get it. But wearing many hats is a surefire way of burning out. You need to learn to focus on your strengths and outsource your weaknesses. And there's a great African proverb: those who wish to go fast go alone. Those who wish to go far go together. When you focus on asking yourself, who can help me, rather than how can I do this, you move from linear thinking to exponential thinking. You free up your internal resources and energy to do things that you do well and allow others to take on tasks that they're great at. Remember, a rising tide raises all ships. The network you build is important and powerful. Be customer centric. So you must be able to put yourself in your customer's shoes, understanding their habits, purchasing behaviors, problems, and more. If you spend a lot of time listening to your customers, you're going to gain valuable insights to improve your product and service. And you'll also show them that you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Stay curious. A last tip: for you, it should go without saying, you have to be committed to ongoing learning. You need to be relentlessly curious in all aspects of your business. Curiosity in your customers' problems and needs, curiosity in improving operational activities, curiosity in understanding industry trends, and more. If you stop learning, your business will inevitably stop growing. You must keep yourself educated if you want to stay competitive. So you might be wondering, how do I actually start a business? Well, the process for registering a business in Manitoba is pretty straightforward, but we do understand that it can appear quite confusing and overwhelming when you're on the outside looking in. Knowing how to choose the best business structure, choosing the right business name, and ensuring you've got the right insurance, permits, regulations, taxation protocols, etc. This can all feel overwhelming. So if you plan on owning and operating a business within Manitoba, please contact us at the World Trade Centre Winnipeg or submit a business information request online so we can help you navigate these areas. And we can offer you information and resources for how to reserve a name and registering your business, choosing a business structure, funding options and potential grants available, networking opportunities, secondary market research, trade advisory services for understanding international markets, export planning, and more. So we have lots of good resources for you. So when you're starting, I think it's really important to highlight that there's many paths for entrepreneurship, and deciding the right one, it comes down to understanding your industry and your customer needs, your skill set, your appetite for risk, your business objectives and goals, and many other possible variables. And this might not seem like an important detail, but you do not want to overlook this. It can be the difference with you still being in business 10 years from now or within the next year. So, for example, you might want to start a coffee business, but realize to begin from scratch could prove to be too risky. So you've assessed your own goals, skill set, and tolerance, and decided that you're not looking to reinvent the wheel completely. You know there's a successful coffee shop in your neighborhood selling, so you could try to buy it. And this way you'd have an established customer base, business procedures, suppliers, and other important operational considerations already in place. And if you would try to start a brand new business without assessing your own needs, strengths, risk tolerance, the current market, you might give up as the stress in the beginning stages of business just begins to build up. So self-awareness is key. And just for a quick reference on how to register a business in Manitoba, this process, it will look different if you are looking to federally incorporate, but we can still guide you on this and where to go to do this. So please, again, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help you get your business set up properly. So knowing your industry, it's very important to have a deep understanding of the industry that you're in. And finding the right associations, networking groups, and key partners can be a critical difference in the chance of success for your business. And along with knowing the strategic partners within your own industry to accelerate your business, you might also look to the industry as a whole. In what direction is your targeted industry and market headed? Who are your competitors? What sort of industry threats and opportunities are there? And more. So knowing your industry, market research. So market research, it really helps you in this regard as it can assist you in validating your business idea, finding opportunities, mitigating risk, and strengthening your business plan. And there are various tools you can leverage to aid in this research process. There's the PESTLE analysis, which analyzes possible external threats in key areas, political, economical, social, technological, environmental, and legal. There's competitors analysis, which you're probably already aware of. This helps you identify your competition and how they differentiate themselves, location, quality of their customer service, quality of their product, their pricing strategy, their marketing strategy, brand positioning, and more. Porter's 5 forces. This is a framework used to assess 5 competitive forces that impact your business. There's competition, new entrants to your industry, the power of suppliers, the power of customers, and threat of substitute products coming in. SWOT analysis. This is another tool you've probably already heard, but it's a fantastic exercise to go through. This helps you to identify your business's strengths, weaknesses, which tend to be internal factors, and opportunities and threats, which tend to be external factors. And then there's primary and secondary market research. So primary market research is collecting information directly from people in your target market. This could be interviews, focus groups, surveys, doing deep dives into social media. Yourself, along with external market research experts, can help out with this. And then there's secondary market research, and this is collecting already published information about your target market. So industry overviews, competitor lists, demographic reports, and much more. And you can actually reach out to us at the World Trade Centre Winnipeg for support on your secondary market research. We offer all entrepreneurs and business owners in Manitoba 1 hour free secondary market research. So a fantastic resource. Do your research to find any possible associations within your respective industry. There are great resources to build your network, gain deeper knowledge on your industry, and accelerate your business's growth. Also, chambers of commerce. Did you know that there's actually over 60 chambers of commerce in Manitoba? So, these are great resources for networking, business development opportunities, and much more. And they regularly put on training workshops, host networking events, and could have benefits and programs you can use that you might not even know. For example, the Winnipeg Chambers of Commerce, it has allows members access to a great chambers benefits plan, perfect if you're between 1 to 50 employees, and even has a document certification program as long as you can meet specific requirements. So some of these documents are certificates of origin, visa applications, agency representation agreements, among others. And if there are no chambers in your area, start small. Reach out to a local entrepreneur for coffee and start meeting regularly. Don't leave your networking to chance. And finding key sector partners is another great way to further develop your business operations. They regularly offer training sessions, offer support and guidance around industry rules and regulations, and help you get connected with mentors and others in your industry. And I've listed a few here and linked them as well. And now I want to share some resources to support you on your journey of entrepreneurship. So if you're ready to take the next steps on your journey, we have a business planning program, which will be opening up next spring. And this is a great next step. You'll gain a deep understanding of the key components of a business plan, helpful workbooks and templates, expert support to help you in the creation of your business plan. This program, it's all online, expert-led. It's 7 weeks, and it's designed to really help you create that comprehensive business plan that you need, whether it's for your own internal operations and strategy, or if you're trying to secure some funding. It's also virtual, so this allows accessibility to all Manitobans. So please visit our website to book a discovery call with us just to see if you'd be a good fit for the program. I'm going to list out all these resources here. I don't have enough time to get into all of them, but again, they are hyperlinked, so definitely recommend that you check these out. And then lastly, I just want to leave you off with one little piece of advice here before I bring on Rachel. So I've laid out a lot of information, and the last thing I want is for you to feel overwhelmed. So where do you go from here? Well, I encourage you to focus on the direction you're headed, on the processes and actions that are in your control. Too much of our time we spend focusing about our desired outcomes and dreams, but by living in the future and seeing this massive journey ahead, rubber often it doesn't meet the road and we cease to take action. So instead of just focusing on your destination and your goals, keep these under consideration, but focus on your direction you're headed in. Focus on what you can do to move yourself closer to your goals. So start some market research today. Begin drafting out your business plan. Check out one of the resources I shared here. Seek support from someone who's achieved business success. Talk to a few potential customers about your business idea. Reserve your business name, or do a self-assessment for the type of business you wish to run and define a version of success. No matter where you start, just start small and keep moving in the right direction. Remember, 1% every day. And you might just find that what you dreamt in the beginning as your dream destination becomes something else entirely. And this is actually a very common theme in most entrepreneurs' journeys. They started with the intent of building and achieving one thing, focused on the direction they're moving in, but due to changes in their industry, customer needs and feedback, they course corrected and focused on doing something different. And if they just stayed locked into that original vision without being open-minded to the opportunity that was right in front of them, they might not have achieved their level of success. And if you don't know your exact steps, remember to seek support when you need it. Find a mentor, a group, or yes, reach out to us at WTC Winnipeg for some guidance. And now it's time to introduce you to our special guest, Rachel Nedelec, founder and owner of Flower and Flower Bakery. Fueled by a passion for all things creative, Rachel has a background in singing, dancing, and acting, a self-proclaimed triple threat. With her creative mind and artistic culinary skills, Flower and Flower has grown locally, nationally, and even internationally. Recently, Flower and Flower gained traction, having their products showcased in the Grammy Awards gift baskets. Wow, that's awesome. When Rachel is not baking and running her business, she's a busy mom to three kids who constantly help her keep her on her toes. Nixon, one very patient and supportive husband, and this is what Rachel finds to be the perfect recipe for business success. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here.
Sorry, how do I make? Can you hear me okay and see me
Yeah,
okay?
we could hear you all good.
Perfect.
Okay, so first off, Rachel, if you want to tell us about yourself and and Flower, what's your origin story and why did you choose the path of entrepreneurship or start this type of business?
Yeah, so you know, this business sort of chose me. I was asked to make a birthday cake for my grandfather and was interested in using, edible flowers, and sort of just, I always say, it just kind of blossomed from there. And it, one order led to another order, led to where I am now. So, and I am currently sitting in my own brick and mortar bakery.
That's awesome. And so that's a new location, correct?
This is a new location. I've been in business since summer 2019, and I've just recently opened my first storefront and commercial kitchen. So it's been an exciting journey.
That's awesome. And I love as you're explaining it, you're kind of like the verbiage I used earlier, like you're summoned to it, like you were just kind of called to doing this and you just kind of kept plugging away at it one step at a time.
Completely one step at a time.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so what information or resource did you wish you had when you were first starting out?
Literally everything. I had no idea about anything. I found myself taking courses online after putting my kids to bed about, collecting income tax, which flowers are edible. We bake with edible flowers. I found out that certain flowers cause paralysis. So I was.
Wow. It's terrifying. Oh, I think you just muted yourself, Rachel.
Is that better?
Can you hear? No, you're good. You're good.
Just from start to finish, I was completely clueless and found myself just online taking course after course after course.
Yeah, so lots of you were really focused on your own education. Like you were super curious. Again, kind of another point I alluded to, like you weren't leaving anything up to chance. You were doing what you possibly could, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. So here's like one of my favorite questions to ask all entrepreneurs. What was your biggest oh shit moment or biggest challenge you had to overcome in your business? How did you overcome it? And what did you learn from the experience?
There is not one oh shit moment. There are daily oh shit moments. I think my biggest challenge at the beginning was really wanting to do everything myself and wanting to do it really, really well. It turns out I'm not good at accounting and bookkeeping. So I've sourced that out, exactly what you said. Do not be, ask for help with things that I'm not good at. And now I just stick with what I'm really, really good at. And I do that myself, and I source out what I'm not good at, like social media. I'm not good at social media. Accounting, bookkeeping, all of those things. Like you said, I took some notes. Expenses that are good, investment. That is completely accurate.
No, that's awesome. And I'm going to actually jump ahead to a question here because you mentioned the social media. So I think for new entrepreneurs, that can be a tough area of how do you market your business when you're first starting out? So did that marketing strategy change as your business evolved?
So the marketing, yeah, I mean, social media is and still will continue to be the greatest tool we have. It's just the world we're living in now. At the beginning of my business, I gave away a lot of free product. That's how I did a lot of my marketing. I talked to strangers. I listened to the strangers. I really wanted to know what people wanted out of a bakery. And I think, the consensus, across the board was, bakeries have these gorgeous products, but they never taste good. So I
Mm,
really wanted both of those things to be equal priorities.
yeah,
So just listening to the customer, talking to people has been the best marketing for myself
I love
ever.
that. It's kind of
Mhm.
like I call them like duh behaviors. Like, oh, you should go and talk to people about your business. Duh. Oh, you should actually go and, see what their actual pain points are. Duh. Like just keep talking about it and you'd be amazed, right? That's awesome. So what makes your business different from others in the same industry?
So we're the only bakery nationwide using edible flowers in every single one of our products. We use zero artificial colors, zero artificial flavors. Everything you see is created with nature. So we've been, that's been a huge priority of ours is sourcing out the best and highest quality edible flowers that we can. So
No, that's
that's
fantastic.
and we,
How did you even get into that? Like edible flowers? What made you think I need to do this?
I've always sort of been. My mom is a horticultural therapist, and there was always fresh flowers, at my house growing up, and just after having my own kids, having them around nature and being outside in the garden, and even going to your local garden center. I think it's just sort of in me, and I've always just loved flowers, and I mean even more so now, and just putting these flowers on the cakes. Once upon a time when I first started out, I started learning that you really can't just go to a grocery store or a florist and just because a rose is edible, put it on a cake.
Hmm.
So the flowers in a florist, the flowers at a grocery store are not grown organically. So just finding you know the best quality flowers, and you know it just made sense to for the health of people and my family, putting flowers on, they needed to just be organic and edible.
100%. And it's just
Mhm.
I one of those areas where trying to understand the regulatory, the regulations around that, making sure you're doing everything right, not just going to Safeway and putting on a rose petal and paralyzing someone, God forbid.
Exactly, exactly. It's my
Yeah.
biggest fear.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it doesn't happen, knock on
It
wood.
will
So
never happen.
here's a good question. So how do you
Mhm.
deal with fear, doubt, and imposter syndrome? Because I know all entrepreneurs go through this. So I would love to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, I don't deal with it very well, if I'm being totally honest. I have had many sleepless nights as an entrepreneur. It took me a while to sort of realize what these thoughts were, but I don't have a background in baking. I don't have a background in business. I'm just really passionate about what I do, and I work really, really hard. That's just the bottom line. Is I
No,
just
that's awesome. Because I mean, like, back to like that formula, passion and skill, that component, you realize you lacked certain skills, but you knew what you were good at. And then again, you kind of outsource and delegate the stuff you weren't at. So it's not about trying to know everything. It's just, here's what I'm good at. I'm going to get the team on board. And that can really help with the imposter syndrome. Because I think that really sets in once you start dipping your toes into a territory where you actually have no clue what you're doing, right? And then you
worry.
start falling for what is it, the Dunning-Kruger effect, and you start thinking, it's like too much, but you actually don't know. You're just pretending that you do, and then that's not good. That's just stupidity. So are there certain routines you follow every day to ensure that you are at your best as a business owner? And if so, what are they?
I'd love to say 20 minutes of, mindful breathing and, meditation. And that's not my reality at this point in my life. For me, daily routines are getting my kids on the school bus first thing in the morning, being at home when they get home from school. Keeping the normalcy at home is what works best for me at my business. Having a super supportive family is also very helpful, and I probably drink more coffee than I should.
There you go.
So
Coffee. Yeah, that's the elixir. I was joking around with my boss. I was like, I think that's gonna be my first tip for this webinar is all entrepreneurs, they should be drinking lots of coffee. And but no, I like what you said though about like especially in this age, we're always talking about mindfulness and whatnot, but you exercise mindfulness to some degree. You realize what worked for you, and it's having that normalcy, right? And I think that's really important. Have those routines that you know are there and they're guarded, and you have that boundary set. So you give your mind and that space to kind of just relax. So what advice would you give to someone just starting out? I know a very generic question, everyone asks this, but I think it's good.
Just be gentle with yourself. Starting a business is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. Ask for help. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Talk to other entrepreneurs. Join business groups. I had a lot of coffee with a lot of different people and business owners. I picked brains. I did the research. And just be really gentle with yourself.
Love it.
It's a really tough career.
Absolutely. I think like that's such good language to use, because that self-talk, that self-compassion is crucial. Because if you're always looking ahead, comparing yourself to others, or putting your self-worth once you achieve this type of success, everything is just, you're always going to be chasing and you're never actually going to be satisfied. So knowing like, hey, you are enough right now. Now you're just trying to do, because if you come from that foundation of like that self-compassion, it's wishy-washy or not, I think it's important to have good self-talk, no matter what it is, right? So whatever that looks like, make sure that you're doing it. So this kind of leads into the next question. What qualities do you think that every entrepreneur, they should possess?
Okay, these are the 5 P's that I have.
5 P's. You've got your own acronym?
Yes. So patience, persistence, perseverance, passion, and purpose.
Love it. Which one would you say is most important to you?
I think for me, it's passion.
Yeah.
And that's sort of, the passion gives me purpose. The passion keeps me persistent. It keeps me patient. So just, I think they're all important P words though.
100%. I can see some entrepreneurs going, the passion will make them impatient, because you get all this energy, you just want to get stuff done, but you have to realize, things take time, right? Anything worthwhile in life, it takes time. And I think now, we're our memories are very short now. We want that, everything's so instant and accessible that if we don't get it right away, but it takes time. So that's good. Love the 5 Ps. Maybe we'll get you to do a webinar at WTC Winnipeg sometime on your 5 Ps. Just kidding. Okay. Where do you see your business in 5 years, and what steps are you taking to achieve this goal, both personally and professionally?
So it's an interesting question, because I think it's hard to look 5 years in the future of my business, because 5 years ago, I'd never imagined I'd even have a business, let alone if you had said, Rachel, in 5 years, you're going to have a bakery. I'd say, get out, like, come on now. I'm not a bakery. Like, what does that even mean? So I am day to day, minute to minute. It's an ever evolving situation. I just hope I'm ready for all of the situations.
Yeah, no, that's great. Good advice. Okay, last question. So lastly, where can we find you and Flower? Where can we get in touch if someone wants to come buy a cake or, some edible flowers and not get paralyzed? Where can they go?
So our bakery is 530 Waterloo Street in River Heights at the corner of Corden and Waterloo. We're also online at flowerandflower.ca. And you can find us on social media. We're very easy to find.
No, that's awesome, Rachel. Well, thank you so much. You've been a pleasure and shared lots of valuable insights. Hopefully everyone here learned a lot and took some took some good insights away that they can apply. So I thought I would just open it up to questions. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I don't know if Eric, if you're still there, if there's any questions earlier that we can answer, but if anyone's got any questions, feel free to, you could even put your hand up and then ask questions live if you want. But if no questions, all good. Rachel, I liked your 5 Ps. I'm gonna have to get those from you.
That's a good one. I can't take full credit for that. I learned that actually in a business group I was in last year.
We all learned something from someone else, so it's it's passing it down. Awesome. Okay, well, if no one has any questions, that will be it for today. We got Valerie. Thank you for this awesome webinar and having this interesting, amazing guest. It was so nice to see her and hear her advice. The 5 Ps are awesome. Love it. Thanks, Valerie.
Thanks, Valerie.
Oh, and I missed this one. This has been a very inspiring session. I'll aim to reach out to Rachel for a coffee chat. Thank you. That's Carmen.
Please come we serve coffee. If you mention this, how about that? If you mention this webinar, my treat. I will buy you a coffee.
Love it. I think I'll be dipping out of work early to come take you up on that.
I should watch what I say before I say it. I'm going to make sure the coffee it's full. The beans are
20
full.
people are just going to show up there. Yeah.
Come and visit and come and meet me and just talk to people. That's the biggest thing, is find out who your customers are, find out from other entrepreneurs. There's people are very willing to give advice or be helpful.
Yeah. Especially Winnipeg, like this is such a relationship built town. Like I feel like we're 3 degrees of separation from anyone. So it's, it's so important just to get out, chat with people. And Amy would love a coffee chat too. So lots of coffee going around. Yeah. Love it. Okay, well, if there's no questions, anyone, we'll wrap things up. Thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Rachel, again, it's a pleasure. And hopefully we can do this soon again sometime.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, everyone. Take care.